guys, welcome to another episode of our life seasons. So in this episode, I'm gonna be talking about my father's wound and how I actually recover from it or how I actually work through it. It's gonna sound really weird. And I know some of you or a lot of you might not be familiar to what is father's wound or what this topic is about. It's basically like talking to your inner child. Growing up, I have a lot of resentment against like my dad because of our difference in mentality and how we view life in general. It was really different. We don't see eye to eye on a lot of things, but I still do treasure the relationship that I have with him. So this episode, I'm gonna be talking about how I went from resentment to gratitude with just a shift of mindset and perspective. And of course, this episode is actually inspired by one of the conversations that I was having with my mentor, and she has helped me walk through this resentment. And I just want to say that it's nothing complicated, and I believe that a lot of people do actually have this I would say this obstacle in life whereby you resent either your parents or either your mom, your dad, or whoever that is closer to you, even your grandma. uh yeah, because of just how we were brought up and just how life is so different right now. Like, we are introduced to so much more new mindset and perspective on life, and the older generations might not catch up to it as fast, or they might just still be in their own I would say their own perspective or concept of life, which is totally fine. Okay, so yeah, so backstory. I just wanted to say that I resented my dad for various reasons. For one, for not supporting my dreams. Two, for not understanding where I was coming from. Three, for not having an abundant mindset. And then four, for not going with time, for not improving with time. So for the longest time, I've always held on to this resentment of like, why can't he just understand abundance? Why can't he just understand like what life can be more exciting than this? Because I love reading, especially self-help books or like just money manifestations, money mindset, things that are related to just life in general. And when I read, I would love to apply it to my life immediately. And I think I don't know if it's a bad habit, or I don't know if it's a bad thing, but when I read something and I feel it so much that I want to implement it in my life, I kind of would hope that the people around me would do the same. And I know that it's very unfair to say that the people around me have to be on the same par or have to be on the same frequency as I am, because everyone is so different and they don't read the books that I read. They don't have the brain that I have. They don't have the concept that I have or the mindset that I have. So I think that was the biggest struggle that I have when it comes to talking about my future or talking about my dreams with my dad, because yeah, like I mentioned, we're just so different. Okay, so I always felt like he wanted me to go to this typical route of a Singaporean, which is if you, or just I think any Asian household out there, like going to uni, working a 9 to 5, getting married and having kids. That's about it. Like you'll be paying off mortgages, and like in Singapore we have this thing where it's called BTO. So you just get a house, pay off your house, and then yeah, live happily ever after. So that was life for him. That was life for my cousins. That was life for a lot of people that were around us. It wasn't a life that I vibe with. Like, thinking about it, I'm just like, that's life. Like, it's so boring. I don't know about you, but I feel like it's just so boring. It's not a life that I want to live. That's just me. Yeah, I always believe that life should be exciting. I want to live life filled with fulfillment and filled with excitement and happiness. And I wake up every single day excited to do what I do. I don't want to wake up every single day dreading to go to work and then not knowing what the heck I'm doing in life. So that's just me, okay? So, and I believe everyone has this side to them. It's just that we don't want to show this side because it's not how um it's not how the society likes to see, or I don't know. It's just not how people live their life, right? And it's gonna be so different from so many people around you, and you just feel like you're gonna stand out. But to me, it doesn't really matter. I've always been struggling with this concept of like, not showing the true side of me. And now I'm finally ready to do that. So I'm talking about it like in this podcast. So for years, I blamed him for the shitty money mindset, because I think a lot of you guys would actually relate to this. Growing up, like my parents or my dad particularly would always tell me that money don't grow on trees, money is hard to come by, like people who are rich are evil. So I relate, not I relate, but so when I think about rich people, I'll be like, oh my god, I don't want to be rich, because if I'm rich means I'm evil, right? And it's like, money makes people go crazy, or money it's just a bad thing. Like money is so sacred. If you don't work hard, you're not gonna get money. Like you gotta work your ass off for someone to have that stability, stuff like that. So I'm pretty sure, somewhere along the lines, you guys will be able to understand, and you guys have actually heard of this before, or any version of these phrases before. So growing up, that was how I was brought up with, this money mindset, this lack mentality. So for years that I was freelancing, I was actually really scared of how he viewed me. I was really scared and sensitive and paranoid as to how he would view me running my own business, or and not working, giving up, this cushy 9 to 5 for this like thing that wasn't even stable at all. I was just going all in on my business. And I think it was really uncomfortable for him because I work from home, right? So to him, working from home and having that concept of working from home means you're not working. You are slacking, you don't have a job, you're a bump, you're just at home, just bad. So you could see how, I started avoiding conversations with him, especially when it comes to my business. Like every now and then he would come up to me and he'll be like, so how's your business going? How much are you earning? It's always how much are you earning and where are you at, or how successful you are. It's never, I know it's hard, I know it's tough, but you're doing your best. I think that was the thing that I wanted to hear from him, or I craved that validation from him, but it never came. So that built up a lot of resentment and anger, because I think I have like the balance between both, like someone who believe in dreams and someone who don't. Like my dad is someone that is very practical, he's very realistic. Has like, you gotta do, you gotta work for someone to have that stability. If not, you're just gonna die. But my mom is someone who encouraged me to dream, encouraged me to chase after my dreams, and she was always there for me, supporting me. So I have this both. So that's why I don't have an issue per se with my mom, but I do have this relationship and tension with my dad. Okay. So resentment built up because truth was my business wasn't doing really well. And I always feel a need to come up with excuses to lie about how well my business was doing. And to me back then, my coping mechanism was that, when I tell him how well my business was, or when I open inverted lied to him about it, I was actually manifesting. I thought that I was manifesting. But deep down, I realized that, there was this hole that I was trying to fill up. Like there was this hole that, I tried to fill up with lies and tell myself that it's okay, instead of actually digging deeper and asking myself, what was it that is making me insecure? What was it that's actually creating all this resentment? So I would always make up stories about how well my business is doing. I feel guilty about it, but it was my coping mechanism back then. Okay, so of course, me being me, I actually refused to, settle for less. Like he would always tell me, like, why not just go back to a 9 to 5? Why not? Whenever I try to be vulnerable with him, he would tell me that why not just go back to a 9 to 5? Why not just go for a job, settle for stability? It's hard to run a business, it's hard to do this, it's hard to do that, it's impossible, like, be realistic, this and that, which is something that I didn't want to hear back then. Because can you imagine, like, you running your own business and things aren't really working, it's not working the way I want it to, and I had so much like pressure on myself. I gave myself so much pressure that, and then adding on to the fact that my dad was just not helping per se. Like he was just saying that, oh, you should go back to 9 to 5, like it's not working, like you clearly know that it's not working, you're not meant to do business. It's really disappointing to hear that, and it really like just dampens the whole entire mood for my for that day, for that week, for that month. So I would always avoid having conversations like that with him. So when he told me stuff like that, of course, me being me, right, I wouldn't settle for less. I know that I was meant for more. I had a very rigid mindset around life and around how things should be. I was filled with so much frustration from my business not picking up the way I wanted it to. And I scared that I would disappoint my parents, and I scared that I would disappoint the people that really cared for me. And this allowed me to kind of beat myself up for it. Like whenever I don't reach a certain goal within a certain timeline, I'll be like, oh my god, like is it because I can't do business? Is it because I'm not meant for business, I'm not meant for this life? Like I would start to doubt myself and my abilities. So I wanted everything to be fast, I wanted it to be perfect, and the way I imagine it to be. So like I mentioned, the rigid mindset that I have is uh I live on the mentality that is based on, if it's not happening the way I want it to be, it's not happening at all. So this was a really bad mindset that I actually have, and you can tell how bad it made my life. It made my life even worse, because like I don't have self-confidence, and then I was just beating myself up for not reaching my goals by a certain timeline, and then my dad was just, adding oil to the fire. So I would say that I'm sharing this because where I was mentally played a very, very big part on how I view my dad. I always view him as someone who would never understand why I wanted things a certain way or why I desired what I desired. Uh yeah, I would never want to share with him my bigger goals or my dreams in general, because I always feel like he's this negative Nancy where when I share with him my dreams, he will be like, oh no, it's not gonna happen. Like, oh no, this might happen. Like the worst could ever happen. So he's always like that. So, but here's the funny thing, looking back at it, I actually do crave a lot of validation from him. I cared for his validation and approval. I wanted him to be proud of me so that, I would um always can't help but go to him and tell him about my bigger dreams. I don't know why, but I always felt that, maybe the more I share, the more he might be open to the idea or he could understand me a little bit more. But it just got things just got worse because his reaction would be the same every single time, and I would leave the conversations feeling so like stressed out, feeling so angry by his response. I always go in the conversation thinking that I would come out differently, but yeah, I was just setting myself up for disappointment. Okay. So of course it doesn't end well, and it always starts with, it's great and all, but how long can it last? It's great and all, but it's not a stable job. It's great and all, but you know how big can this be? Can this allow you to, buy a house in Singapore? Can this allow you to settle down? So there's a lot of questions about, starting my own business. And she would always tell me that no one would want to go that is, or a woman that is so strong-headed. Like, I need to be more mellow. I need to just, live like how everyone else is, and I hated that idea. So again, that builds up that resentment. Okay. So this went on throughout my whole entire teenage years, as I was growing up, even up until last year. And April was when, like this year, April was when I decided that enough is enough. I wanted to get over my money mindset, this shitty money mindset. I wanted to work through things so that I know that with like being able to work through this mindset would push me forward more, whether or not it's in my business or in life in general. Like, I know I will be in a better place just working through my money mindset. Okay, so time and time again, like I would just try to indulge in more money mindset books and podcasts until I was ready to actually invest in a coach, and I did. So long story short, like I felt into my intuition when I was investing in this coach, and I knew that she was gonna be the one that was gonna help me. So I did, and I invested in her, and everything just was aligned, everything just went smoothly. So the first session that I had with her was actually on this conversation, on this topic of how, relating my money mindset with my dad, my father. She called it like your father's wound. So yeah, so that conversation was actually really intense. I'm gonna be playing a short snippet of it later. But before that, I just wanna say, I did not plan to work through this relationship that I have with my dad, because it's been something that I'm just like, it's at the side of my head, but I just don't really want to work through it. And I didn't know that I was gonna work through it. So I would say that, yeah, I did not plan, and things did not work out the way that I wanted it to, as per usual. But it worked for the better, actually. So um this is the beauty of actually trusting in the flow and know when to let go and let the universe do its work. Because when I always believe that, the mindset that you take on entering a call or entering anything in life is really important. So before entering this call, I actually meditated and trust that, whatever that we're going to talk about during this meditation is going to help me move forward in life. It's going to help me heal whatever that needs to be healing. So I fully trusted in my mentor and myself and in the universe that, yeah, it's going to work the way I want it to be. So as we were talking and as she was doing her magic, like we were talking about, how my childhood was like, and how, I came about with all this money mindset. Of course, we ended up talking about my dad, right? Like how my dad, my father's wound, and how it was really uncomfortable. I was really uncomfortable talking about it because money was something that I didn't want to talk about like very often. I was so afraid to actually open my bank account and to check that amount that was inside, because I would always relate that number with the plus or minus sign behind it, whether or not it's deduction or whether or not it's, a plus sign. Like with plus sign, I would be so happy, of course, like everybody else. With a minus sign, I would always go into panic mode. Okay, so that was how bad my money mindset was. And I just had enough of it and I wanted to work through it. So you can, like, it was literally a heart to heart talk. This whole entire 1 hour conversation actually brought through like a lot of breakthrough and of course a lot of breakdown. You can imagine the amount of tears that I was shed and relieved that I had, because I hope that, you know, whoever that is relating to this, or whoever that can relate to this, whether or not it's with your dad, your mom, your brother, your, I don't know, your grandmother, your aunt, or your partner even, I hope this will actually help you to relieve resentment towards that person. Because when you actually forgive, you might start rejecting this idea of letting go at the start. You may be thinking that, oh, they will never change, like it's totally impossible for me to change them. But just trust me and at least be open to hear this conversation that I have with my mentor, because the key here is to not actually change them, but is to just start changing the way you view things and to start changing your perspective, and you will realize that things actually start shifting around you. It's really insane. I know it's really like unbelievable, and it's really like, you have your doubts, I understand, but just hear me out on this, because this has really helped me change a lot of things and relationship that I have with my dad. Like, I will share with you the relationship that I have with my dad right now, and it's really just, yeah, it's a 180-degree change. Okay, I can tell you that. But first, I just want to say that, you know, what I thought that was gonna take me years to lift off this resentment actually literally took me like, what, 1 hour for her to work through this with me, to change my mindset. So I say be open. That's why I say be open with this mindset that you're about to download, with this mindset that I'm about to share with you. So now I'm gonna play the exact recording of our session so that you get a good idea of what, you know, my mentor has told me that has shifted my perspective, so that you can actually come along with me on this journey of release. Okay, so yeah, this is the clip.
I'll give you a perspective shift. Imagine if I tried to tell you that the scarcity life was like it. Like the scarcity and the fear life, like that's like the way to go in life. Like that is the way. Like it keeps you safe, it keeps you in the same spot. Like, yes, it might be routine, it might be a bit boring, but at least you know it's predictable. Like, can I change you on that? Like, can I convince you to change?
No.
Believe and like just believe that like money is really hard to earn, and like you have to always be working. You can't rest. And if you rest, then you're losing out on your youth when you could be working. Because what happens when you get older and you can't work anymore? Right. So like I'm trying to like the reason why I share this with you is because like this is probably what like your dad is like that reaction of like, oh, no way, no way, no way. That's the
Oh,
same thing with like you
okay.
seeking abundance.
Oh yeah. Oh, okay. Yeah, because when you said that, like it gives me like goosebumps, and my whole body is like rejecting to that idea. And
Mm.
then yeah, that shifted because that is what he felt when I tell him like, yeah, it really makes sense.
Yeah.
Oh my god.
So
I
yeah,
never thought of it that way.
yeah. And so it's like, you know, no one can change you. You are doing the work to do the abundance. And like that's probably
Have
like
to, yeah.
the whole scarcity thing is what you sound
Yeah.
like to him in regards to abundance. It's like, what do you mean? Like
Ah,
I like my whole life has been on survival. You're telling me that I can be happy and not work as hard? If something has worked for the last
mm.
50 years, like you can't convince me otherwise. It's like imagining like
Yeah.
10-year-old being like, no, scarcity is the way to go. Like, trust me.
Oh
Like, trust me. Like, I saw my
my
mom get really
god.
scared. So I'm scared. So you should be scared. You're not gonna listen to
Oh
a
yeah,
10.
because his mom, like now that you talk about it, his mom has actually worked like her entire like life to provide for the kids, and that's what he grew up with.
Mm.
And then yeah, for the past like 50 years, that's what he grew up with because it's from his like, oh, right, his parenting and stuff like that. Oh,
Mm.
that really like, oh that
Mm.
changes a lot on the perspective. I've never actually thought of it that way.
Mm.
Yeah.
It's one of those things where it's
Mm.
like if you can imagine your dad as like a little boy, 8 years old, seeing his mother work, like stressed out working, but then knowing that he's like, you know, he's being fed, he's got a roof over his head. It's just like, well, if my mom actually stopped working, like, would be fucked. Like, what,
Mm.
like, what would happen? I'm scared. And then that's just what his nervous system is just programmed to.
But it gives me like, I don't know, I feel so sad. Like
Mm,
to think about it, like the fact that he has to leave like that.
mm.
I'm sorry.
No, no,
I
no.
just feel I just when you say like the little boy, I really just like imagine it, and I just yeah, I feel so sad that he has to live life like that because life is so different right now, right? Like we don't have to live like that. And I think that's the longest thing I've been trying to tell him. Like you don't have to live like that anymore. But to him, I think it's what worked for the like past 50 years.
Mm,
Yeah. So like I really just like imagine because my grandma like passed last year,
mm,
like his mom. So but she passed away because of old age. Like it wasn't because of like any disease and stuff like that. She was like 90 something years old. So like whenever I hear them talk, like even his siblings like saying that she's worked really, really hard because she's a single parent.
mm,
He's brought up by a single parent. So
wow.
I
Mm,
think that's where it comes from. And I've never actually thought of it that way. Because I've always, like I said, I have this resentment towards him. And now when I you in a sense like I have this new perspective, it made me I feel like really like bad of like
oh my God.
thinking that, why is he like that? Yeah. But
But don't,
yeah.
and this is like where like the grief and the guilt comes in because we realize like we're so
Yes.
hard on like our parents are hard on us, but we actually are really hard on them. And just get so resentful and be like, why can't you just see that there's so many possibilities, but for them there was no possibility.
Mm,
It was like you had to stick to one job to make the money to survive, and it's really hard when it's worked for so long.
mm,
Even and like
yeah.
sometimes like they never know what's on the other side, and they never will. And it's like grieving
Mm,
that as well. Mm.
yeah. Yeah. I think that is one thing that I feel so then I know like it is what it is. But then there's also a part of me that I know that, even if I feel like guilty or I feel like sad for him,
Mm.
but I kind of have to like let it go. And then the way I feel like that would solve like the resentment part of it. Like because right now I can really feel how do I explain this feeling? Like that resentment just gets like lifted off in a sense.
Mm.
Because whenever I look at him, I feel so like angry. Like I'm so why can't you like understand? And then now I feel like when I look at him again, like I imagine him like right in front of me. When I look at him, it's gonna be a different form of like, the anger just disappears. Because then I will understand like why he's feeling like that. Why would he think like that? Yeah.
Parents are just being parents to themselves. And so
Yeah.
when your dad is saying all these words, I know it feels personal, but he's just talking to himself. And it's really heartbreaking because it's like the language is so hurtful, you know?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Because he was the one that has to like support the because he was the eldest son.
Mm.
So I
Elder,
think like
yeah.
yeah, he's the eldest son. So it took like he has to be the one because he bought like the house. He has to be the one that buys like the house for my grandmother and his brother to live in. And then he had to like he did tell us before, but it just didn't like register. Like he has to like work really hard. Like when he's of age to work, like he would go out and work just so that he could provide for his own family because he knows that his mom wasn't like it wasn't enough for her to be providing for. She has like 8 kids,
Mm.
so he
Wow.
has to step up, yeah, at a very young age. So
Mm.
I think like when I know this, it's not that I don't know this, but now I'm thinking like I know this all along, but it just didn't. I don't process it that
It
way.
didn't
That
click
he's
yet.
being a parent, yeah, to himself. So now like I can see why like when we're of working age, like he would want us to go out there because I think that's like it's also like his insecurity also.
Mm.
Yeah, probably he also like he didn't grow up with like a father figure. So that might
Okay.
have like contributed to a lot. So he has to be that father of his family.
Mm.
Yeah.
You have to
So
be a
the thing was like exactly like it's so heartbreaking to hear it that way. But I'm at the same time I feel so proud of him also. because the fact that like it's if you ask me to do it, I don't think I'll be able to like do what he do, because right now we are so privileged to be able to live the life that we want to, and I'm so privileged because of his hard work. And in a sense, like I'm living the life that I'm living right now because of like what he worked hard for, like in the past. Like I have a roof over my head now. I'm not in a situation whereby I have to earn and raise the family. So that really like lifted off like all of like the resentment that I have. Like I feel so much more compassionate like towards him, more loving to understand. Like I right now, like I'm able to understand what when I look at him, I'm able to understand like why he do what he do, why he has this mentality, and it's okay if we have different mindset. Yeah,
And it's like,
that
yeah, it's also like, can you express gratitude that like he had to have that scarcity mindset to then give you abundance of choices and freedom? Isn't that like, oh, and then you feel like, wow, oh my God. And you just,
yeah
because if
yeah
he was following the abundance route, right? Like, and it's good to have that abundance and like, to go and follow your dreams. But like when it comes to the reality, like single mom, 7 siblings, you can't,
yeah
honestly, 3D world, you can't be abundant when you've got mouths to feed.
exactly. Yes, exactly.
He had no,
Yeah, because
yeah, sorry, go ahead.
I've always been looking at it as like our family, not like his side of the story. It's always been right now. And then now when you bring out like, what goes behind, then I'm like, oh yeah, like I fail to look at that side. And it changes a lot. Like it's the one that just, oh my god, I've been struggling to like understand. Like I've been trying to fix this part of my life for like the longest period of time. Like just the relationship with him is major. And I'm like, how? Like how I've been trying to go to like podcasts and like, to understand. But it just gets worse because everything like that I listen in podcasts is about like abundance, right? And I'm like, oh wow, why? Yeah. And then now it's like, oh my god, yeah. Like it's a different like perspective that changes entirely. Like,
Mm.
wow. I
Mm.
didn't expect that on the first call.
All right, so that was it. That was how it went. You can see like the amount of pressure that was lifted off me. It's really this small perspective that shifted, from resentment to love can actually change a lot of things. That release of emotion was a symbol of me processing this grief, of letting go the fact that I needed my dad to understand this abundant mindset, the concept of dream. Right? I actually in return I let go of the idea of trying to change him and trusted fully that when the time comes he would change. And even if he don't and he continued to have this mindset, it was his life, it wasn't my life. And yeah, like this allowed me to release so much pressure off of it. And unknowingly I actually released control and surrendered to the universe. I trusted that it was all going to be taken care of. I choose to see him with love. I choose to understand his perspective of why he would have certain mindset around money or certain mindset around life. Okay, so same for you. I want you to think of that person's perspective and view them in this loving lens. This is different from finding excuses for them or trying to make yourself feel good. Okay, it's a completely different thing. Right now, when you forgive someone, you're actually forgiving yourself for holding on to the negativity. So when you choose to see someone with love, you are actually choosing to put yourself first. You're actually choosing to let go of the thing that is holding you back and living in peace. So now this is the most amazing part of what actually happened after I released control. Okay. So other than living life happily and just with peace in flow and more carefree, because I no longer really attach my self-worth to my dad's validation, whether or not he validated what I feel, the unexpected thing happened. And it was really, like I mentioned, it was really 180-degree change. You you wouldn't believe this because I don't believe it myself as well when this happened. So a few months after my session of really letting go and releasing, on Father's Day to be specific, which was last month, I brought my dad and my mom to a day out where I treated them to meal, I treated them to drinks, I brought them to my favorite bar in Singapore. And it was just amazing. We were all soaking in the abundance and the atmosphere of this bar because it was really nice. And I know that it was their first time there. So just so my parents are never there are never people that would want to go onto this fancy restaurant or this fancy bar because they always view it as, it's a waste of money. So for me to be able to bring them there and treat them to this experience was something that was really, like, I was really happy about it. I was really fulfilled. And I remember while we were having drinks and we were just sitting there, I was having this conversation with my dad about money. And of course, you would know that I went in on this conversation like a little bit scared, but at the same time, like I mentioned, I trusted that it was just gonna go the way it was gonna go. So we were talking about stuff that was relating to money in general, like investment properties, money, life in general. And he said something that was so shocking to me. He told me, "Do you know that money is actually a flow? Like, you gotta let it come in and go out. So you gotta be able to spend and be willing to spend and be willing to donate or give people your money before it can come in more to you." So he was essentially what he was doing was explaining money mindset and the abundance on in his own words and in his own terms. And I was so shocked. Me and my mom was sitting there like, what? Like, you could not believe that he was someone that said that. He went from someone who is like, oh, money is so sacred, money is this, money is hard to come by, to someone that says that, you need to be able to spend on stuff like that and to really just let money in and out. Like, money is just energy exchange. And I was like, wait, what? Like, what happened? Like, where is my dad? So that was like I was just so shocked at that statement. So that was when that I realized that, for all these years that I was trying to control him or trying to make him understand what money manifestation was and what abundance was. And when it wasn't working, I was upset and, just resentful towards him. Who would have known that just by letting go of control and just by trusting the universe, she actually did her magic and allow him to fully embody the concept himself and really change the way he lived life. So he went on to tell me about, how he actually discovered this concept of abundance and manifestation, which was actually from a TikTok video that he saw. It was like, I think, it was in Mandarin. The whole video was in Mandarin. And to me, it didn't matter how it happened. Of course, it didn't happen the way that I thought it was going to happen. Honestly, I didn't even think that it was going to happen at all. But we were finally on the same page for the first time in, I don't know, what felt like 1,000 years. We were finally on the same page. And this was what I was trying to tell him and what I was trying to ingrain in his mind about money for the longest time. And, same for you. You might have your own experience that allows you to have this light bulb moment that, can change the whole trajectory of your life. And all you need to do is to release control. Sounds simple, but it's actually the toughest thing to do because we all love to control. We all love to, be able to know what's going on in our life. But sometimes too much control can actually makes things worse. Okay. So like in this scenario, so yes, this shit works. Like, I'll only share with you what works for me and whatever life concepts that I've experienced before, because like that I've experienced myself, because I know how it feels like to be hearing certain concepts and to be hearing something that majority of the people are actually pushing about, but wondering if it actually works. Because for the longest period of time, I'm also trying to figure out which concept works for me. I'm not someone that just listens to 1,000 like podcasts or read 1,000 books and be like, oh, I'm gonna take every concept whatever people say goes. Like, I like to experiment. Even for money mindset and for manifestations in general, I'm still experimenting, and I'm just sharing with you my experiences, and I hope that you'll be able to help you release a lot of resentment and anger towards someone as well, to learn how to forgive yourself by forgiving others. Okay, to see them in this lens of love and in this lens of gratitude. So to kind of sum it up, if you relate to this, or if you feel like, it's very hard for you to explain your dreams and desires to the people around you because you don't feel supported, I want you to know there's nothing wrong with you. Neither there's nothing wrong with them. Okay? It's not their fault for not supporting you, because we're on our journey to figure out what we want in life, and everyone is just on different journeys, and we are experiencing so many different things that we have different mindset when it comes to life, and that is okay. Okay, you don't need everyone to get what you're trying to say. You don't need anyone to approve of your dreams. Okay, the best thing you can do for yourself now, right, is to actually view everything from a place of gratitude and love. I want you to see things from the lens of love. You release control and let the universe do its thing. Okay, really trust that things are gonna happen for a reason. Things are gonna happen for you and not to you. Okay, when things happen for your higher self, you realize that you feel so much more in flow. When you release a lot of control and you release the need to control a lot of things, you live with peace, you live with love and gratitude. Okay, so I would say that the support of validation that you crave so badly, give yourself that. Be the person that validates you, be your biggest supporter. Because one thing that I've learned in life is that when you trust yourself enough to let go of control, you are actually happier. Okay, you gotta learn to trust yourself and give yourself the support that you need before anyone else will. Because when you show yourself respect and when you show yourself support, when people see you showing yourself that love and respect for yourself, they would want to give you the same as well. They want to reciprocate as well. So this is because of the law of mirroring, or the law of attraction, however you want to call it. Is that it's basically, this law explains why you attract certain people or certain situations and certain challenges in life all over again, because we all vibrate on a certain frequency that is known as vibe, right? So simply put, the vibe that you put out there in the universe is the vibe that you attract the most. So if you're constantly in the lack, of course you'll be attracting a lot of lack. But now, okay, sorry. So actually, to put it into context, right? If you're constantly resenting the lack of support from the people around you, you attract more people who are not supporting you, because that is your focus. That is what you're focusing on, and hence you attract more of that, right? The vibe of lack of support. So, but now I want you to actually decide, when you decide to forgive them, what you're essentially doing is to forgive yourself for holding on to the resentment. You feel so much more like I mentioned, you feel so much more like just try it out. Whenever you start to feel this resentment coming up, I want you to start seeing how you can actually shift your perspective to love, to try to understand where they're coming from, and to know that their story, it's theirs to keep, and you can create your own story, you can create your own mindset. Okay, you don't need them to approve of anything, you don't need them to validate your dreams. All you have to do is to be your biggest supporter. Okay, that's the best that you can do for yourself. So now I'm not saying that you don't need to struggle in life, or what I'm essentially saying is that when you realize like the emotions that you attach to certain things, that you can actually change them, you can choose to see things in a different way, you start changing the way you view things, and your life will start shifting according to how, like, to the vibe that you give off, to the way that you see life. Okay, so life can be simple yet filled with excitement and overflowing emotions of happiness. All you need to do is just to release control and practice gratitude and love and peace with whatever that you already have. Okay, so it sounds really simple, but I know that it's also really hard to achieve at the same time, because it literally took me months to learn and practice gratitude, and I'm still practicing love and gratitude, because certain things still triggers me when it comes to money. But I know that I'm now so much stronger, and I know that I have the tools to actually change my mind. So same thing for you now, as you're hearing this, just know that right now, to be more conscious about the things that you tell yourself, the things that people tell you. You know that you can choose to not take on their perspective of life, and it's all up to you. You have a choice. Okay, so remember, to whenever resentment come up or anger comes up, I just want you to remember to look at things with love, to look at things with gratitude, because there's always things for you to be grateful for. Okay, just like for my dad, I'm always grateful for, because of his lack mentality, I'm able to live the life that I want to live. That I'm able to live the dream and chase after my dream, because I don't need to worry about food. I don't need to worry about not having clothes to wear, or roof under my head. I have literally everything, and I'm forever grateful for that. And this was the shift that I needed. So same thing for you. I just want you to take some time today to kind of sit down and think about how you can change the way you view that particular person that that you have a lot of resentment towards, that is actually stopping you from living your best life. Okay, so I hope that this episode helped you to change your mindset on resentment, and on the perspective of how you view certain things. And yeah, just always, always, always tap into love and gratitude. Trust me, you will never regret it. Okay, so that's all for today's episode. I hope to see you in the next one. Bye.